This is Skyfire News, the best UFO show on the internet. Skyfire News is on the internet. Skyfire News. Skyfire News. UFO show on the internet. Skyfire News is on the internet. Come look for no TV, man. Skyfire News. There's no use in running, he's already here. Richard Downey, I can't believe a thing he told me, but I can't stop listening closely to Richard Downey. Downey never told me a thing that I didn't think was real. Hold me when I'm lonely, so I remember how you feel. I found it even when I found out she was cheating. I took a jump room to Mars. I fought a mantis with a Martian crackhead who took me too far, and watched Barry Trump take the throne on Mars from me, and went right back to Richard Downey. I can't believe a thing he told me, but I can't stop listening closely to Richard Downey. Richard Downey. I can't believe a thing he told me.
It's not a hoax. I love that clip. I love it. Welcome to Skyfire News Live, where we give you all the UFO news you need, I hope. And today is no different. It's Tuesday, June 11th, and the talk of the town is our young man, Grusch, his 1 year anniversary. If you can hear the birds are singing out here, the sun is shining, and we can't wait to dive into this topic with you. This is going to be a little bit more relaxed than our other shows. We're not necessarily going to go through a whole background check of David Grusch and a whole report card. We're going to save that. We got a lot planned for Grusch. He's been on our radar, obviously, for a year. So today we're going to talk about like what we feel about the year he's had, the kinds of stuff that he's done, and where we think it kind of is going. You know what I mean? Like, because since he showed up, it gave a boost to ufologists. It gave a boost to the legitimacy of it because he was kind of a no-nonsense guy and co-signed by a lot of really interesting, intelligent, and credible people. Jesse Michaels being one of them. We got Red Panda in the mix. And before we dive into it, I kind of wanted to go over Grusch's statements from Congress that were happened about a year ago today. So like this I can't believe it's been this long. I really, really can't. But let's let this play. Let's get a little recap of what our guy Grusch has been saying, at least as far as this congressional hearing goes, and then we'll go from there. And first of all, before we start that up, let me just say thank you so much, Alana. Member, you're here first. We love it. Rob the Great, another member popping in. We love seeing you guys coming early. UFO Brew, what's up? Derek Daughtry. We got Darth McButtfart in the mix. I love saying that name now. I used to hate it, now I love it. We got Turbo BMR in the mix. Speaking of B, we got B and Ben and Nimbit. And then that's where we're running low. Now we're back to Arden. What is up, Arden? Thank you to all of our mods and all of our members. Thank you to all the new viewers and all the new people watching, checking out Skyfire News. Red and I try to give you the best we got. You know what I mean? And we're happy to do it. We're happy to do it. We love this topic. We live and breathe UFOs. Sometimes we get hate, right?
I hate Skyfire News. I hate Chupacabra. I fucking hate Red Panda. And
Damn. Sometimes it happens, but it's all gravy. It's part of it. Comes with the territory. What is up, Red Man? How you doing?
What's up, bro? Just trying to stay cool here where I'm at.
I bet it's a scorcher over there. Okay,
And
we are
busy doing my normal job. But real quick, did Grusch ever say he saw an alien?
non-human biologics, and I can discuss that with you in a secured facility or whatever he says. Let's see. I mean, they ask him this, and but I think that's what he said is like it's non-human biologics, yes. And then he goes on like I can discuss this with you in a secured in a skiff. So let's see because it's been a long time since I saw this cut of his statements here.
Yeah, and it might be fun at the end if you want to just open this up because this is kind of like not the super deep dive Grusch we're planning on doing later, but we'll maybe just send out the streamer link and we could hear what the people think about Grusch.
I love that idea, dude. I love that idea. Guys, if you're out there and you're in Twitter land or you're over here on the YouTube, I sounded like an old ass man saying the YouTube, but if you're over here on the YouTube channel and you want to pop in, you don't have to be on camera or nothing, but I'm going to drop the StreamYard link if you guys want to pop in, or if you guys want to pop in from Twitter, let me know.
We want to know what the people think of Grusch.
We really do. We really do. We can't tell you what to think about him. In fact, I think we're going to do a lot more maybe theorizing here than critiquing. That's my opinion. But here, let's let this clip ride out. Let's see where it goes.
Mr. Chairman, ranking members and congressmen, thank you. I'm happy to be here. This is an important issue, and I'm grateful for your time. My name is David Charles Grusch. I was an intelligence officer for 14 years, both in the U.S. Air Force, both active duty, Air National Guard, and Reserve, at the rank of major, and most recently from 2021 to 2023, at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, NGA, at the GS-15 civilian level, which is the military equivalent of a full bird colonel. I was my agency's co-lead in unidentified anomalous phenomena and transmedium object analysis, as well as reporting to the UAP task force, UAPTF, and eventually, once it was established, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO. I became a whistleblower through a PPD-19 urgent concern filing in May 20.
There we go.
Can we run that back a little bit? Because what does he say about Arrow? Because isn't this a whole part of his thing is like he didn't talk to Arrow?
Dude, look at this. Right? Okay. I'm going to go back. Like, what do you think? Like 10, 15 seconds?
20, yeah, 20-ish. Because this is cool that he's listing off all of his credentials, right? Because that is important. NRO, National Reconnaissance Office, all satellites, and then the UAPTF. But this Arrow part, I didn't Because I guess when this happened, right, we haven't been inundated with the backstory of like, did he go to Arrow? Did he not go to Arrow? Is Arrow full of shit? But
dude, that's right. Hindsight 2020. Okay, I'm gonna let it ride. Let's see.
2021 to 2025, or excuse me, 2023, at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, NGA, at the GS-15 civilian level, which is the military equivalent of a full bird colonel. I was my agency's co-lead in unidentified anomalous phenomena and transmedium object analysis, as well as reporting to the UAP task force, UAPTF, and eventually, once it was established, the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, ARROW.
What? Good catch, dude.
And I like
Holy
that.
shit. Chat, did you catch that? Holy shit. Dude. George Knapp, kind of long in the face there. Let's see.
I became a whistleblower through a PPD 19 urgent concern filing in May 2022 with the Intelligence Community Inspector General. Following concerning reports from multiple esteemed and credentialed current and former military and intelligence community individuals that the U.S. government is operating with secrecy above congressional oversight with regards to UAPs. My testimony is based on information I've been given by individuals with a long-standing track record of legitimacy and service to this country, many of whom also have shared compelling evidence in the form of photography, official documentation, and classified oral testimony to myself and my various colleagues. I have taken every step I can to corroborate this evidence over a period of 4 years while I was with the UAP Task Force and do my due diligence on the individual sharing it. This is because of these steps, I believe strongly in the importance of bringing this information before you. I am driven by a commitment of both to truth and transparency, rooted in our inherent duty to uphold the United States Constitution and protect the American people. I'm asking Congress to hold our government to this standard and thoroughly investigate these claims. But as I stand here under oath now, I am speaking to the facts as I've been told them. In the U.S. Air Force, in my National Reconnaissance Office, NRO, reservist capacity, I was a member of the UAP Task Force from 2019 to 2021. I served at the NRO Operations Center on the Director's briefing staff, which included the coordination of the Presidential Daily Brief and supporting variety of contingency operations, which I was the Reserve Intelligence Division Chief backup. In 2019, the UAP Task Force Director asked me to identify all special access programs and controlled access programs, also known as SAPs and CAPs, we needed to satisfy our congressionally mandated mission, and we were direct report at the time to the DepSecDef. At the time, due to my extensive executive level intelligence support duties, I was cleared to literally all relevant compartments and in a position of extreme trust, both in my military and civilian capacities. I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program, to which I was denied access to those additional read-ons when I requested it. I made the decision, based on the data I collected, to report this information to my superiors and multiple inspectors general, and in effect becoming a whistleblower. As you know, I've suffered retaliation for my decision, but I am hopeful that my actions will ultimately lead to a positive outcome of increased transparency. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
Can you go back a little bit and just like leave it paused on them? What's up with Jeremy Corbell? Like, he must have been up for like 5 days in a row at this point, right? He looks really tired.
Yeah, I think if I had to say, I think that Corbell and the other inner circle, I think that they definitely were counting on this. This was their biggest moment, and I think that people like Grusch might have been rehearsing with these guys for months prior, right? And I think that this is the culmination probably of months, if not years of work. And Corbell could have just been excited but he definitely came strolling into this. I don't know if you remember, he came strolling into this event with, with camera crew in tow, right? Walking past the line, and then he got front row tickets here, right? Like the idea of Knapp and Grusch, my apologies, Knapp and Corbell being this way on this camera, I don't think is any accident.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Right?
He's
So
definitely, yeah.
so they knew where the cameras would be, most likely, right? That they figured out that they wanted to be there. Like it's almost as if in the future they planned on being hailed as the people who helped bring Grusch, and you know what I mean, or something, right? Like
Honestly, to a degree, they probably can claim that, and I don't think that him rehearsing is bad. Like yeah, it's kind of a big moment. Hopefully, he rehearsed. But yeah, the fact that they're there, I think, is totally on purpose.
yeah.
Damn, there's a clip I was. Yeah, I'll try and find it. Let me see. Because remember, there was the whole thing of like, did they meet at that Star Trek convention? And then Jeremy Corbell was like, no, we didn't. And then like it came out that they did, and he was like, oh, okay, I may have lied or something like that.
Yeah, okay, whoops. What's that about, dude? There's this photograph of them all at an IHOP or something talking, right? And it's after like a convention or during a convention. It's very strange that they wouldn't talk about that and kind of like let it be a thing. They try to deny it, right? But the fact is that people didn't really expect Grusch to be related to in any kind of way with all of these other UFO kind of believers, right? This inner circle with Jay Stratton, right? Like, but he is, and he has been, which is, I don't know. It's not. I don't think it's questionable, but it is worth reporting, right? That it's not like he came from left field and these guys found him recently. You know what I mean? They're talking to him recently. That's not the case, right? The case here is that Grusch is definitely a part of the rollout, and he was handpicked for this, right? That's my guess. What do you think? Am I off base for thinking he was handpicked for years to like come out, if not a significant amount of time? And these guys just kind of like coach him into it, get him out there, let his credibility do the talking, right? Let it kind of like win over and work its magic, which it kind of did to a degree. Like, he's a believable person. He's very nice. The interview he did with Jesse Michaels, I thought was amazing. It really humanized him in all the right ways. We have a clip from that, actually. Hold on one second. Yeah, check this out. This is wild.
Dude, you have a...
That's a Skyfire exclusive. You're not going to get that anywhere else. But that interview, that was really good. And
yeah, just FYI, that does copyright us. That has hit us before.
It'll continue to get us. It'll continue to get us. If you want to support Skyfire News throughout the copyright infringements that we continue to do for laughs, feel free to subscribe to the channel and like the video. We'll have to edit that one out if we want to repost this. But you know what I thought was interesting was when Grusch did that kind of sit down meeting with the Yes Theory within their corporate like cafeteria or whatever, their corporate cafe, and he sat there and answered questions kind of fielded by these guys. That was an interesting kind of roundtable. And then they got that on camera. I mean, those are like, probably pre-screened questions, but at the same time, not from Congress, right? That was pretty cool. So he's been hella open. And then he was even like brought into like some like, I forget, it wasn't Goldman Sachs, was it? To like talk to them and give them kind of a debriefing on what the UFO stuff is. I mean, it's stuff to consider. It really is. It's stuff to consider. Like, why is Grusch being, giving these talks? Is it just because he was the name of the week, the UFO guy name of the week? Could that be it? I want to think that it had to be different. I want to think that like he might have some very strong expertise besides just being around the right place at the right time. I definitely want to believe that. What do you guys think? What do you guys think in the chat? I mean, obviously David seems to know what he's talking about, but is he, and I don't know if this is an inappropriate question to ask, but is he just regurgitating information?
No, I think that's fair, and I think that's what he even says, and that's why it's even to like the title on the Twitter video. It's like, did this man see aliens? I think he even says like, I haven't seen shit, right? I've only been told about XYZ by people who I trust, which I mean, at least he's being honest.
You know, I'm looking for my edit of the UFO Congress, and I thought I had a sick edit. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? I want to find some of the more salacious statements that he made in the hearing, because he was asked some very good questions. What did you think of this hearing, by the way? Did Congress, were they prepared for this? Did they adequately handle this?
I thought it was like one of the few moments in ufology where it's like, okay, expectations exceeded.
I think so too. Like, look at this.
Any of the activity been aggressive, been hostile in your reports?
I know of multiple colleagues of mine that got physically injured.
By UAPs or by people within the federal government?
Both.
Okay, so there has been activity by alien or non-human technology and or beings that has caused harm to humans.
What I personally witnessed myself and my wife was very disturbing.
Damn.
Was that his response to that question?
I hope I didn't take like liberties on the edit. I think it was, because they were trying to get him. You know what I mean? Like, what? Not get him, not like a gotcha thing, but they were really trying to get him to say like, "Yo, what should we expect here?" And yeah, he was like that the whole time. It was very disturbing.
Not gonna lie, bro. I feel like he was talking about the reprisals against him in that situation. I don't remember him talking about. Is this a part of Grusch lore that him and his wife had like some like Semivan type encounter of like some like horrible shit, disturbing thing?
It was an ambiguous question, right? Because he's like, you know, the guy's what's his name?
Burleson?
What Eric Burleson there was trying to ask was like, yo, is there like, is there a threat here? Were you being attacked by the aliens or by people? And he's like, you know, that's where it gets a little more weird too. But I'll try to find the unedited clip and we'll get to the bottom of this.
Also, do we know? I feel like we should know a little bit more about like what exactly happened to him and his wife, right? Publicly.
Yeah, we definitely should. No speculation at this point. There might be people who know about it in the know, but we're definitely not there. And I can't blame him for not wanting to come out with it right away. You know, I can't blame him for that. But at the same time, it does beg the question, like, are we in danger? You know, like, what's going on? But here he kind of gets into it a little bit more. Check this out. This is kind of...
Personal knowledge of people who have been harmed or injured in efforts to cover up or conceal these extraterrestrial technology.
Yes. Personally.
Have anyone been murdered that you would think that you know of or have heard of, I guess?
I have to be careful asking that question. I directed people with that knowledge to the appropriate authorities.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think he definitely thinks, and I think he elaborated on more that, yeah, he's definitely brought to the table that like people have been murdered by the government over this, which is pretty base take to have in Congress, bro. To be honest, like who would have ever thought that we'd be having this conversation at that level? So,
dude, for real. Have people been hurt? Is the public in danger? What do you know? And then like, there's this huge like kind of like how do I phrase this correctly? There's this big debate on what the nature of the phenomena is. And I can't help but think that a little bit more of information from these guys would go a long way, you know, to like get us on the right track, at least to what can we prioritize what we should be doing, right? Can we prioritize it? Is, you know, like, of course, there's no way of knowing what this stuff really is. We can't really say one way or the other, but if we got more hints, we should be able to prioritize our reaction to it. How would we react to it? Right now, I got to say what's up to Jose Julian. I think that's how you pronounce your name. If I'm wrong, you know, I'm sorry about that, but we appreciate you being here. Thank you for the $2 $3.99 super chat. You know we're all about the Fetty up in the
So
mix.
nowadays I'm all about the Fetty. You better get some. Too busy hating, ain't getting none. Me, I'm all about the Fetty. Ain't getting none. Me, I'm all about the Fetty. Yeah, they ain't ready for.
Oh yeah, check this out.
Our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials.
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
Biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
Damn. You know what his
currently still on the program. Also, super alpha energy. I remember when that happened because, like, Nancy Mesa never used the word biologics, and he just uses it, and then she just like uses it.
Yep. She's like, I guess this is this is what we're doing now. I did like that. Now everyone's using it for real. But you know what's interesting is that like Grusch hints at stuff here that I think Gary Nolan covers more directly. Like Gary Nolan isn't beholden to stuff, but we know that Gary Nolan and Grusch are in the same businesses together. They definitely know each other, and they definitely speak about what this phenomena is. So check this out.
Can't discuss that publicly, and
They say, well, we have no evidence of ET. Well, because, no ET is going to come walking in here and say, hello.
Do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
something I can't discuss in public setting.
They've been around for a long time. They are affecting our culture, right? It's actually often thought that many of the religions that we think of as the most important have been part of this process.
Do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
Biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human.
Well, if they're so frigging advanced, why are they crashing? Because what's crashing is not actual living things. So mostly what you're seeing here are either drones or some sort of advanced AI or whatever.
And what he's talking about there, and I can speak to this very confidently, I'm not reading between the lines. There's other statements that I don't want to pull up right now of him explaining exactly what this is to people like Tucker Carlson, which is that these are avatars. These are biological machines that are controlled remotely from another place. We don't know where that place is, and Nolan suspects that they are a higher intelligence coming from possibly a higher, more advanced kind of dimension, right? And so I'll find that clip, and that's what he says. That's exactly what he's on about. That's what these are. They're biological robots. They're avatars. That's what he tells Tucker. I'll find the clip, and then think about that too when we're going into this statement here, like non-human biologics. Biologics came with it. Now, Grusch's statements are not in any sense of the word. They're not in conflict with what Nolan said on Tucker, right? They're not.
The government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials.
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
Biologics came with some of these recoveries.
Refuses to say bodies. Instead says biologics. Now, if it was a robot that had biological aspects to it, right? Some kind of nanotechnology or whatever, and it was intelligently controlled by something else far away, then maybe that's how you would refer to it. Biologics. What do you think, Red? I'm going to find that clip of Nolan on Tucker.
Yeah, I think he's definitely like talking to all the same people, right? Here's a little clip. I couldn't find the one I was trying to find that's like the funny edit, but this is an interesting clip of Corbell and let me see. Corbell talking about like meeting with Grusch before all this.
Oh yeah, I found the Nolan clip, Nolan Tucker.
Oh, go for it first then.
All right, cool.
Oh, question, which is like, who made these? Like, who are these?
So now we see this happening, and now we realize that our physics doesn't. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. I mean, the data is companies. they wanted to profit off of it.
So my apologies.
And many of them
we're gonna have to scrub through this together. Okay, it's not that long. It's like 15 minutes.
basically, as we were studying, I profit off of it, and against each other studies, who's had
How much did they have?
probably be in that category as complete bipartisan, as unmistakable.
Mountains of data.
Hartford Current, exactly.
Okay,
Lex
give me a
Friedman,
second.
He's an interviewer.
I'm gonna find the clip.
Where it does. He's an AI scientist at Stanford. I did one with him, and using an example of the
Found it.
ants as well. Let's say that there were a race of intelligent ants at the bottom of your garden. How do you tell them about Instagram? Right? How do you talk with them? How do you interact with them? You would probably make something that looked almost like an ant.
Oh shit, Mike's here. Mike,
And you
pop
put
up.
it down there. But then how are you going to interact with them?
What
With
up?
pheromones, that's how they talk. But you do something else, right? You're speaking about whatever it is you talk about at the dinner table, but to translate down to their terms, you would have to use some sort of an intermediary. So it's kind of a lost in translation problem, right? You want to put something there that can interact with them so that they can know that there's an object. But you, for instance, you're not going to show up and put yourself in danger. I wouldn't.
See what I'm saying? You're not going to show up. They're not going to come down here for real and put themselves in danger. What are they going to send?
I mean, we send drones. You understand
Of
what
course,
I mean?
I'm tracking intently. I just wonder if this has changed your perspective.
Crazy. Now, here's where he says robots. It's a little further
Not in
back.
these cases, but because what kind of intermediary are you going to send? You're going to send something that maybe almost looks like them, but isn't them. So I think, and this is again from inside the intelligence community, most of what we think we're seeing are avatars,
Boom.
biological robots.
Boom. Boom. Avatars. Biological robots. Mike, what do you think about that? And welcome to the show, by the way. Love your
What up,
background.
boys?
What up, what up?
What up?
I think it's pretty interesting that Gary Nolan is saying that directly.
Right? Like, no ambiguity. Right? And he's not, I mean, he said these are the best minds. Biological robots, avatars sent here. Now, Mike, I've put a lot of thought. Have you considered the what kind of technology would be needed to transmit a consciousness or to basically remotely control a robot from across the universe?
I don't know if they're controlling it from across the universe. Could be in the moon.
Ooh. Now, you didn't get a chance to ask your moon question or to hear a good moon question asked to someone who these guys are very fascinated with, Chris Bledsoe.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
Do you think there's something to the moon thing? Could there, I mean, David Icke talks about the moon too as a signal transmitter for this signal, right? It's interesting. Oh.
So nowadays I'm all about the fatty. You better get some. Too busy hating, ain't getting none. Me, I'm all about the fatty. Ain't getting none. Me, I'm all about the fatty. Yeah, they ain't ready for.
Thank you, Gray. What is that? Gray 1U, right? Love your show. €5. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, for real. Hey, we got a caller who's called in. We got Eric in the video chat. Eric's in his car. We're gonna give Eric a chance. Do we know who Eric is?
I don't know who Eric is. Eric, please don't flash us.
Eric, don't flash
Welcome,
us.
Hey, man, you can't handle these goods right here, okay? You can't handle it.
Hey, welcome to the show, Eric. What's on your mind, man?
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate all of the work you guys do, man. It's just like, what's on my mind is when you talk about Grusch and Nolan and people like Bigelow and all these guys, I feel like these guys are basically victims the way we are. These guys are getting manipulated. And I feel like with Grusch especially, when you look at the way, the CIA handles counterintelligence in other countries, they don't necessarily bribe people. They convince people of things and let them go do what they do with the belief that the thing that they're doing is, they wouldn't put themselves in those positions unless they really believed it. The question is, how do they come to believe it? Do you know what I mean? And that's,
Good point.
I think where the UFO community doesn't play connect the dots well enough. You know what I mean? You have to start following these things back to who were the first people that touched a Grusch from the military and CIA? Who were the first people that touched a Nolan from the CIA and the government? Who were the first people that touched a Bigelow? A Lear, these type of people. Because I think once you go back to there, and then you can start connecting how the thing is working. Because a good lie is half full of truth, right? You can't come up with a good lie that's out there. So when this little bit of program stuff comes out, I think these guys just kind of circle around and say, okay, now how do we, judo move this thing to our benefit? We'll sprinkle a little something over here, and then now it's confusion. And they know we'll fight, right? Because look at the UFO Twitter. It's just a big fight amongst people, amongst themselves, right?
I've had nothing but peaceful experiences on UFO Twitter, but I have heard bad things. No, I'm playing.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, I think.
Can you check your home address here real quick?
Eric, I think you're totally right, man. They're finding charismatic, believable people that they might be telling them and convincing them of something that they will walk away with and push as if it's true because they truly believe it. And you could show somebody like some of the breadcrumbs of information and let them come to the conclusion you wanted them to come to, and they might believe that they are discovering something along the way. This is not unheard of, especially in the UFO community, by intelligence community assets, right?
No,
so that's a good point.
You get the examples of a Bledsoe or whoever, what was the guy that they drove to insanity, basically?
Paul Benowitz.
Paul Benowitz, thank you, not Bledsoe. Yeah, you get a Benowitz type situation, there it is, right? You see it. That's just open out in the public. Like, hey, you caught us, and then you hear a Jim Semivan say on these things like, the CIA would never do anything illegal. We would never do that.
This classic quote.
Just like, the look in his face is like, I can't believe you would even suggest MK Ultra ever happened. Well, that was in the past. We would never do that again and again and again and again and again and again till we're all arrested. Come on, guys. It's like they have that attitude, right? And so it's a weird situation. And I think the connect the dots bit is what needs to happen to get to is so and so a good guy or a bad guy, because it's just never that black and white. I think these are people who are doing what they think is the right thing. The guy, the idea that a Nolan or a Mellon or care about money or fame, as a driver for any of this, to me is absurd at the highest level. These guys don't do stuff for that at that level. This is more problems for them. This is, you don't get invited to the right parties. This is, you don't get your country club membership renewed. This is weird stuff. You're going into Woo Land here that gets you kicked out of things. You know what I mean? And at a certain level, that's what they start to care about more than money and this kind of stuff, because they have it. You know what I mean? You hit a certain level.
Good point.
It's you're trying to avoid problems, not get more money at a certain level. I think.
That's true. And also, like, some of these guys, like, they're involved in these kind of esoteric and humanitarian efforts to kind of like push society and culture a specific direction. And I'm not talking about like social engineering, not like that, but they have their own beliefs about what this is. And what I was paying attention to early on was these slight mentions of like spirituality, these little mentions of some religious tinge of things. And I caught it early on, and it's only gained momentum and fervor as time has gone on. They become a little bit more blatant about it, which is interesting, right? But it kind of like, to me, I see this underpinning of these religious kind of, not culty, but definitely secret society kind of things in the mix. I'm not talking about Freemasons or anything, just regular stuff that a lot of people might know about already. And they don't mention it up front. It's always in the background. And I feel like they're just afraid to either say it, or they're preparing their base to, when they flip it, when they go from UFOs or aliens to like whatever they think that they are, and they become the middlemen for the kind of truth that is there. I think they want to retain as much audience as they've gained, right? They don't want to lose a lot when they flip or reveal what they're really kind of going after, which might be more complex than just aliens from another planet are coming here and we're getting tech from them. We've been getting it for years and decades. I don't know. I'm not sure. Mike, what do you think?
The intelligence community connection, I guess. Like, is that the real question?
Yeah, the intelligence community connection and how they're rolling the stuff out, right, with these whistleblowers and along with all these other people. Like, is this structured? Is this, you know what I mean? What's going on? And if so, is it structured for us, for them, for monetary gain, cultural change? What do you think?
I was just having this conversation today that I really think I think the degree to which this is managed would be very shocking to people. And when people like Lou Elizondo say, this is a very somber topic. I think everybody's mind goes in a million directions, and I've kind of come to the conclusion. I've circled back to the idea that we're talking about the need to manage this issue is so massive and such a problem that it's a somber thing to look at, because it's just getting more complicated. And I think they need to have that conversation with us. So I was talking today about the park rangers. I have a real suspicion that there's a real strange relationship between these secret crash retrieval things that, the David Paulides 411 people go missing in the park. I think some of the park rangers might even be in on this, right? Having to play that these things, people are being taken from parks and stuff like that. And I think that's are they going to have to come out and say that eventually? That, okay, well, part of the problem is people from parks have been going missing and we've been downplaying that. That's a pretty messed up thing that they may have to come out to admit, because you can talk to people out there who've been abducted from parks and they tell you the rangers will lie to you about what's going on. It's bizarre.
Yeah. And we did get the super chat.
So nowadays I'm all about the fatty. You better get some. Too busy hating, ain't getting none. Me, I'm all about the fatty. Ain't getting none. Me, I'm all about the fatty. Yeah, they ain't ready for.
Love that track.
Can I jump in here real quick?
Please.
Because, I think there's a lot going on with what you just said about, people being in on it and people being abducted. Because I think, and again, just kind of connecting the dots, when you go back to the Oppenheimers and you go back to the secrecy that was set up around the initial development of atomic weapons and those kind of things, I think these kind of CIA types at the time said, hey, we're developing this a regimen of covert policies and procedures. We're developing the handbook on how to super secretize something to where you can have people working living in the same house, working in the same facility, and don't have any clue what the other one is doing and never could figure it out in a million years if they tried. So, and they're like, hey, this is the playbook. So now if we want to go do any kind of random thing that may be a little on the bounds of legality, shall we say, questionable, highly illegal, war crime, whatever, we got the playbook now. And so now we can run this cover. So, if we're going to go in and steal some tech from somebody, it was aliens. If we're going to go, if we have somebody who's onto one of these other projects and we need to go snuff them out in the forest, it was Bigfoot. I saw him. You know what I mean? You just have cover for anything that's almost impenetrable, because you just obscure the landscape so much that no matter where you look, your view is diverted from what actual thing. And they have this playbook, and that it just seems like they run it over and over. And the question is, how and who, and I think if you stay focused on the who's, the hows will work themselves out. You know what I mean? So
yeah. And that was a great quote you brought up, and shouts out to Beats and Meat. CIA, just because we lied and murdered people doesn't mean we would do it. We would lie and murder people, and I did find the clip.
From the Semivan clip?
Yeah.
Good.
PTSA and the government. I didn't actually see this, but according to my friend Mick West, he says J.J. Abrams' UFO documentary episode 3 suggests TTSA might be part of a government disinformation program.
That's what I signed up for. I was like, how do I lie to my friends and my family?
Can I just comment on that? First of all, that's rather insulting. It's insulting, not only to me and all the people that work for the government, what have you. You can't have a disinformation program in the government. It's illegal.
Yes,
go. Can't do that. I wouldn't do that personally. I mean, that's terrible. And you cannot influence the population of the United States. Governments can't do that. It's called an operation, and you can't have that.
With a lie detector test determined that was a lie.
This should be a meme.
It should be a meme, especially because Grusch, right? I think at the congressional hearing, he says the exact opposite of that there's been a sophisticated disinformation campaign.
I forgot about this interview. We all used to joke about who Semivan was looking at off camera, like who his handler was. Because you see a shadow.
Campaign? Come on. I said so.
It just shows you the level of contempt that they have for the general public. And I think when you get to a guy like Tom DeLonge, see, these guys are looking for an angle. These are CIA assets. They look for the angle. So if you're a religious, it's the same thing in sales, high-end sales. You look for the angle. So if this guy's a very religious guy, you're going to poke him through the religious angle. If Tom DeLonge thinks he's out there cruising in the tour bus seeing aliens out the window, you're going to poke him on the aliens angle. If, so-and-so has a, Scientology connection, you're going to slide that into the, you manipulate where there's vulnerability there. You know what I mean? If Grusch had some PTSD incident, hey, maybe now you can, you know what I'm saying? They come at you from these type of angles. That's how they get you. The Russians are famous for this, right? You don't need to take my word for it. Just look at how they do this kind of thing. I mean, this is how, they're very patient. There's psychological models for all this kind of stuff. And you just say, oh, okay, this guy's at that model. He's vulnerable. Okay, we're going to hit him this way. And I think Tom DeLonge really didn't sign up to go, wreck Blink 182, look like some kind of crazy conspiracy guy for a decade, do all this other stuff. I don't think he signed up for that intentionally. Yeah, I mean, you see it right there, right? I mean, he says it. I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to do this.
And here's Grusch, by the way, saying the opposite of what Semivan said, which is just funny, tying it back into Grusch.
Telling us the truth. Everyone, the entire American public, has been lied to for decades.
Yeah, there's a sophisticated disinformation campaign targeting the U.S. populace, which is extremely unethical and immoral.
You've told us that we really are not alone. Even though you believe what you say is true, you haven't been fed disinformation. It's a common thing in intelligence for governments to mislead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was very sensitive to that fact. Was this some kind of ruse against me? Am I being used in any kind of way? And I took about 4 years being very methodical before I filed my whistleblower complaint to be absolutely certain of these basic facts.
So at least he's thinking about it, right? That's cool.
4 years. Didn't Corbell say that he takes about 4 years to vet people? You guys remember that?
Have patience on me. Don't give up on me. I'm on cosmic time.
I have this too. This is Corbell talking about like them meeting behind the scenes before the stuff. So.
Okay.
I want to see it. So, awesome. So I was like, sure, I don't know anything about this. But whenever I went, it was cool. And so that's when we invited David Grusch because we wanted to, at that time we were aware, because he came to me and George first outside of in the intelligence communities and he wanted protection. And so we were like, cool, we got to get to know you. This is a good chance. It's in Vegas. George will be there. So we had him come and then we spent time kind of getting to know each other there. And I mean, he's come to my house and stuff, but that's when we saw you. But I wasn't saying, because this guy was always lived in the shadows. He's an intelligence agent. He's not used to being public. So I wasn't going to be like, hey, buddy, I just met you.
This is the UFO guy I'm talking to.
You're about to hear a lot from him. You know what I mean? It was too early. So, but, that was part of that process. And my other buddy, UFO Joe. So he's there too. And I felt bad. Like I didn't overtly say, hey, you should pay attention. But he knew that when we're hanging out that, maybe there's a reason. He's a good documentary person in his mind and the work he does online. The weird part was we're still figuring it out. And when Dave got back to his agency at work the next day, he got pulled out of his agency and basically given a plant and put on probation. And it was like, we're like, oh shit.
Next day?
Yeah, the next morning.
After he met with you guys?
Yeah. On Sunday. It wasn't us, just for any whistleblowers or sources that are there. It wasn't because of us, but it was like, I was really, really disturbed me. So we're trying to figure out, it was, they were already applying pressure because of his ICIG complaint. So it wasn't directly because of me and George, and that got totally resolved. They were looking at like his.
I think it totally was because of him and George, and like he's kind of talking about it. And there's I have it somewhere. We could probably listen to it. There's a timeline of. So I think what happened was, and I'd love to hear Mike's take on this. I think Grusch was feeding Jeremy a lot of the UAPTF material, right? Or at least people within that camp, probably from this R server we've heard about, right? And I think that Grusch might have gotten in trouble for that. I think people even allege that like the Mosul orb video and stuff, and I think Jay Stratton is attributed to the pyramid video, but there was definitely a information flow going from UAPTF members to Corbell and
classified information.
I don't know if it was classified or not, though. That's the thing. And honestly, even if it was, like, people have to shit on Corbell. I think that's a Corbell W. That's a journalist W. I will give Corbell all his due respect on getting this stuff. But you could hear the way he's talking about it, that he's like, it wasn't us. But it's like, bro, it's totally kind of probably at least a little bit you.
I don't know.
It wasn't. We didn't do it. The look on his face. If it was him, if it ended up being him, that'd be so good.
I don't know. I think Corbell's probably pretty careful not to touch that stuff because there's no way they don't know what he has. You know what I mean? I don't buy it.
That's a good point. Good point. Well, all right. We got. I mean, this is Grusch's year. What do you think about 2025? What's happening for the rest of the year for Grusch? When is he going to come up with his op-ed? Right? When are we going to hear more from him? When is he going to let the dam break? Is that ever happening, or is this just another step in the right direction? We got to wait for the right foot and the left foot. What's going on here? I think he'll have a little bit more to say this year, right? We're going to get like a pre-Christmas statement. Then I think 2025 is going to be the year the dam breaks. That's what I think. I think someone's going to let something slip.
Big. The op-ed's going to be big. Elizondo's book, I think, is going to be big. I don't see how this doesn't get something serious for the legislature. I think, like you said, 2025, right? Same kind of deal where we were facing last year in November, right? We were all talking about, they're trying to kill. Remember Thanksgiving? We were like, oh God, they're trying to kill the Schumer amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh no! Then we actually did get it killed, and I think the same thing is going to be on the block next year at Thanksgiving, except in a more serious way because we'll have, I think, Grusch and more whistleblowers. Right, we're going to have James Fox's book, or I'm sorry, movie. Right, with the whistleblowers coming out. I don't know how many.
You're
are
right.
there.
You're right. We got a James Fox flick, the program. We got Lou Elizondo's book, imminent, and then an op-ed by Grusch. I think that let me just ask you guys this question. I don't want to get too conspiratorial. Do you think that these guys behind the scenes are working their like media arm to make sure that like one enhances the other, right? So like, and I mean like between Fox and Elizondo and even Grusch and who knows what else is coming out, right? Like some of the announcements of some of these organizations, right? Are they timed to build momentum, or is that a happy accident?
I don't think it's a coincidence.
Now, you said something earlier, Mike. You said that we might be shocked to find out how much effort is going into this, how much planning is going into this. And I'm with you on this. I think this is very meticulously planned, and I even think there's like contingency plans that we've seen take place in real time. Right? There've been
example.
Well, there's like Grusch, for instance, right? Let's bring it back to Grusch. Grusch was supposed to, come out at a certain way, and then he ended up, Leslie Keene, they were going to drop an article, right, over on the New York Times, I believe. I might be wrong there. Correct me if I am. And they ended up having to go through like some other thing. I forget which the publication is, but the debrief, right? And that was because things were happening on Twitter. They were trying to oust Grusch. They were spreading his name around. They were dropping threats about him, so they had to pivot and then fix it, right? And I even think one of the most telltale signs was the removal of Tom DeLonge from public statements regarding the topic for a year or two after the Joe Rogan interview, and then the insertion of Lou Elizondo as the new press guy doing his podcast tour. I think that was an example.
And they did it again, I think, with Lou, and then Gary Nolan kind of came out and was like the guy going around on the shows and whatnot.
Good
what
point.
about Jason Sands? I mean, coming out in that space after he's supposed to come out in that movie. How would they improvise on that?
Well, I think that's so fresh that we might still be, in limbo of what the next move could be.
I've already seen some pivoting around that too. We saw
Really?
the Kingman UFO. Like, I feel like people were trying to flood the space with like good stuff. We had James Fox publicly saying like the circle and stuff was like, you know what I mean, that they didn't want that stuff out. And Jason Sands kind of went away after that. He's still on Twitter commenting under TJ Felony post randomly, but other than that, he's kind of MIA.
Shout out to TJ. think TJ said he was up for a job or something. Good luck, dog. Good luck.
I hope you get that job, TJ.
For real.
luck,
For real.
TJ.
Let us all thrive in the UFO community.
I hope a
Even
hate
though-
group doesn't try and sabotage you getting that job.
Yeah, hope you play ball. Hope you play ball for long enough to get that job, dog.
King Milkfart's taking notes. He's like, getting job.
Getting job?
Not if I have anything to say about it.
I'm being genuine though. I really hope he gets it. Those interactions are always cracking me up. Now, the Jason Sands thing, I think, might be the biggest wrench we've seen thrown into this, and it's not even a negative one, right? It's a kind of a positive one, but it's so off the beaten path. It's off the plan. You even had people like Daniel Sheehan, which is Elizondo's lawyer, right? And he's famous for actually more than that, but Sheehan is, and he even commented on Jason Sands, being like, "Oh, he doesn't like take advice well, so we don't really fuck with him like that." Like, that was an interesting statement, especially since he didn't say exactly what I said. But
To kind of tie it back and bring it full circle, I thought this was interesting because I do like they were kind of focusing mainly on
I
the
can't remember
stuff.
what. I mean, David, whom I know, but
Tom DeLonge, who, as you said, was kind of like, he was a forefront guy that they kind of told, like, yo, reel it in. Just calm down. And honestly, I think his Rogan interview is legit as fuck, honestly. I think there's a lot of truth bombs in there. But here's Jim Semivan, the CIA doesn't do psyops on Americans.
real quick, I want to say that even though Tom DeLonge appeared to have said a lot on Joe Rogan, maybe even too much, I agree with you, Red. I think he was actually holding back. Like, I think he was holding back a lot. And, like, there's a reason he was so confident to go bring that up to Joe. These guys were gassing him up. Like, he was, like, in this little tight circle, and they were all agreeing with the same shit. So when he gets to Joe, he thinks that, oh, this is going to be easy to explain. But it was a lot harder.
Also, Joe Rogan was kind of, I'd say, uncharacteristically, especially at that point, weird. He was kind of, like, offish. He was kind of pressing him in weird way. Like,
no, you're totally right, dude. There was this weird period where Joe Rogan was like, no nonsense, like, no, that's bullshit. He's a scam artist. Like, and it started, I think, with DeLonge, probably maybe right before. And I think the peak was at Robert Bigelow, when he had Bigelow on, right? And then honestly, like, after that, it seemed kind of calmed down. But then after the and this is kind of way off topic, but after the Randall Carlson Bendall episode that never aired, I think after that he just seems way more patient, and he allows people to like spit that shit, like the moon landing shit and like the Terrence Howard episode. So maybe we're gonna get a DeLonge round 2 on Rogan.
Yeah,
That would be awesome.
and hats off to my Harper too. The Rogan interview was pre-New York Times article. Yeah, it was in like October, I think, or like a month or two before.
Oh, that's a great point. Holy shit.
Yeah, how are you going to be mad at Terrence Howard or at Tom DeLonge, but not Terrence Howard? Terrence Howard said,
Right,
wow,
exactly. That's a great point, Mike.
that's way less backed up than DeLonge ever did.
Very
But yeah,
true.
here's DeLonge
Very
and
true.
on the Grusch hearing and what it meant for them, because these are movers and shakers, right? And I feel like a lot of people, and you hear it here, like that Grusch moment was like how we say too, but like Corbell is like acting like a gymnastics mom in the background, like doing the routine, like in perfect sync. Like I think a lot of people were like doing that at home who had like been working towards this effort, and I think that is a W, bro. If people want to shit on Grusch, the fact that hearing happened is a major W.
Well, points on the board, as Mike would say.
Over the last few years, and particularly since Dave Grusch came out, and I wanted to ask you about that. Whether you've met with Grusch, Graves, and Fravor, and what you thought about that interview. I thought it was a historic interview when they met with the House. I think it was the House. I remember the Select Committee on Intelligence or the House Armed Services Committee. I can't remember what. I mean, David, whom I know, pretty much let out a lot of stuff that I'm still shocked that he was allowed to say it. What did you think about that?
It just blew my mind. I mean, completely blew my mind. And, until I met with David and understood, because I did finally meet him. He came out to a show and brought him backstage and just talked to him for a couple hours. And I was like, how in God's name were you able to do that? And he said it was actually really funny. He filed with the security offices of what he wanted to say. And the only way they could tell him not to say it was to admit that these things were real. So they just didn't admit that these programs and keywords and whatever the hell you guys do is real. So he's okay, then I'm going to say it, and I was like, oh my God, like
he caught him in a catch-22. But to see him live on TV doing that under oath, it blew my mind that this wasn't the biggest headline every day since. But I think the people sitting in the committee knew exactly what was going on. And I think Congress is now got a fire under their ass because they're all kind of where we were many years ago going, wait, what? Is this real? Wait, what? So, but I found David to be not only one of the more brighter individuals I've ever met. You know, I mean, this guy is just names, dates, locations. Like, I mean, he can just, he's a very, very seasoned intel officer at various agencies too. I don't want to say things I probably shouldn't, but he was telling me kind of where he's from and all the things he's worked on. And I mean, this is like, maybe you should be better at explaining kind of like the level, like who he is, because people want to doubt him, but like his credentials are massive.
No, you know, Tom, you're absolutely right. I mean, David is, I always tell people, I had a few phone calls, you know, when he first came out and they said, what do you think? And I just sent back, man, the dude is the real deal, right? I mean, he is exactly who he says he is. And let me tell you something else about him. You know, he's 36 years old. He was a GS-15. That's the equivalent of a full colonel. You do not get that. You see that rarely in the government. So clearly he was doing something really, really well. And that people had, you know, great faith in him and trust in him. And he was a pretty smart guy. You're right. I mean, he worked across the intelligence community and he had the kind of clearances, you know, that allow you to basically look at some very, you know, bigoted and restricted programs, wavered, unwavered. I mean, he basically saw them all and he used that to, you know, to get to the bottom of what he thought was something that needed to be brought out. Now, you know, you can get into an argument about, you know, Title 10 and Title 50. I mean, Title 50 is the intelligence community, how they run their business. Title 10 is how the military and the DOD run their business. And you can get into an argument about whether or not Congress, you know, needed to know,
He
you know,
conveniently
something
left
that
out
the
the
executive
Department of
branch is wrong.
Pay attention to that.
He left out the Department of Energy.
Yeah.
They always do. They always
the
do.
real one,
Welcome
right?
back, Eric.
Because it always comes back to that Oppenheimer stuff. If you take it back to the original, the secrecy plan was developed under DOE. So, I mean, my opinion.
Yeah,
Good
Grusch
point.
did say that later in the Yes Theory thing. And
Oh, that's
yeah,
right.
that I was cited in, by the way, and invited to be a part of, but I couldn't make it.
Dude, we gotta hold on. We gotta get.
Let him cook. Semivan ought to get an award.
Hell yeah, dude. Semivan. I never listened to Semivan and Tom DeLonge's little show here, but I really like it.
Dude, I just love listening to Semivan live, man. It's so good, dude. He's just so smooth. It like almost puts me to sleep, like ASMR. You know what I mean? Like,
Dude, when he told that,
drones you're looking for. You're right. They're not.
I think you're onto something there with that for real. I was captivated when he was telling that story about that experience he had. He said a friend passed away, and then that night, like he was home sleeping, and then he got a visit by like a short little troll thing in a cloak.
It was his conscience.
Oh shit! I don't know about that, but I love that story. And you know what's funny is, Eric, you were asking like, who do these people talk to? Where does their ideas come from? Where's the source of this stuff? And yeah, that Semivan lets out a lot of information, stuff about like the Edgar Cayce Institute. You know what I mean? His interest in Bledsoe, like all that stuff is very fascinating, very esoteric. I love it.
Yeah, well, and here's the real twist that I find so really incredibly fascinating. Is when you look at this big Arrow debacle. Think about this for a second. Kirkpatrick was at a Skinwalker Ranch briefing meeting in the past with Brandon Fugel.
Yep. And what looked like Lukatsky, yeah.
Like, okay, so the guy who's getting hired to come brief people with Brandon Fugel is now, besides the fact that he just straight up denied it in interviews, but let's put that aside because we expect that. I mean, he's the one to be like, he's like giggling in these interviews, like, aliens, what are they talking about? Spaceships? I didn't see anything. I don't even know anything about this. I'm the straight science guy here. They pulled me right out of central casting. I'm going to look really weird. I'm going to look really awkward. I'm going to say some stuff that everyone knows is a lie, and then I'm going to get made fun of forever and go away. I mean, that's what... Well, why don't you think that they're going to... who they named the other people in the Aero office are? I mean, come on.
You know, that's a good point. That's a good point.
I mean, it's like, just put it right in our face. I mean,
Look at that face he's making right there. He's like,
Dude.
He's like,
His like, do you think he dyes his goatee? I think he dyes his facial hair.
Oh no!
Because it's so it's so dark. You know, I was team Kirkpatrick for a long time until this picture came out, and then I'm like, he might be full of shit.
I mean, I think there needs to be a fundamental understanding in the UFO community that the government is never, ever, 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 ever going to, under any circumstances, release any bit of this information, and they will go down fighting till the end. I mean, it's just, it's like saying, you know, you got us, now we're going to give up the kit caboodle on this thing that we've been doing so successfully for so many years. I mean, there's just so many unintended consequences of them letting it out that it's like a, you know, it almost regenerates itself, you know, over time, because certain people come out, certain people come in, but the cabal of the way they operate this thing is almost like self-perpetuating in a way. You almost, if you want, it's like the mafia in certain terms. It's like you may want to get out, but they're going to pull you back in, you know, and you know it. So you don't, you know, I mean, it's very effective. The mafia operated that way out here in Las Vegas for a long time. I mean, I'm from Vegas. I was born and raised out here. You know?
Nice.
And so, you know, when you look at the tactics that the mafia uses and the CIA uses, they're very similar in certain regards.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It would look almost like the government started to borrow from the mafia's tactics. I mean, when the mafia was at its height, look at the string of assassinations that happened. Very public assassinations. Those were meant to send a message, and that seemed to be a language directly taken from the Sicilian mafia. You know what I mean? These were public, like from JFK, right, all the way to gone. There were just so many things that were happening. They were like, listen, dude, the government is out here.
There's
not
a big
fucking around.
Intel mafia UFO connection found in the National Enquirer.
Really?
That whole family, the Pope family. After World War II, and I covered this in some of my videos, after World War II, or actually during World War II, FDR got this like pretty big mafia-related family who also owned the biggest Italian newspaper in America to help solicit Italian Americans to like be pro-war, because right at that time, like Italy was like the enemy, and also to help Italian Americans call their family back in Italy after the war to tell them to not go communist. And basically that whole thing eventually turned into the National Enquirer, which had a big vested interest in like stigmatizing UFOs and whatnot.
For sure. It's just I mean, it's interesting when you watch them work. You know, it's very, very clear to me that that you can FOIA all you want. You're going to get little things because the government is the government, and it leaks. You know, and so they know they can't keep the wraps on this, but it's just so easy to contain it with disinformation campaigns. You know, you don't have to keep run a tight ship of secrecy if you can just easily discredit or, you know, just push people out of the way with impunity. With impunity. I mean, you don't care. You know, I mean, and so people you want to leave and go run your mouth out there? Great, go for it. You know, that padded room and that jacket are going to look real nice on you. I think white's your color this spring. You know, I mean, it's like.
Hey, the consequences for coming out with this stuff or going against the secrecy is crazy. And like you said, you could trace this stuff back to, you know what I mean, to Oppenheimer, right? And the Manhattan Project. You really can, and that's been established. Eric, what are your hopes for Grusch in the near future? What do you hope that this turns out to be?
I hope that they allow him to just kind of settle into the background, because I don't think he can do anything else. I think him trying to move forward with any more of this is just going to hurt him personally. You know what I mean? I would really like he did what he can do. You know, I mean, he's not a firsthand witness to anything. So if you're not a firsthand witness to anything, it's almost, to me, it's like, I don't even care. I mean, I totally respect what he did, and I have tons of respect that he came out, but it's almost like, I don't need to see that again. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, you know, I mean, you can come out and say all this stuff, but at a certain point, unless you get somebody who's willing to squirrel out one of these things or, do something really dramatic, it's almost like it just puts those people in unnecessary jeopardy because, the only people that are getting hurt are the Grusches, are the whistleblowers. I mean, and it's not advancing the narrative. To me, I don't think it advances the narrative, what he said. I mean, maybe I'm missing something that he said, but we've known every single bit of this. It's like,
Let me push back on the idea. So I think him testifying in front of Congress maybe doesn't move the needle directly on the entire topic, right? But does bring us more momentum. Like, so someone like his conversation with AOC. And again, we know there's a big problem rallying the Democrats around the topic in the Congressional House. And AOC happens to be a pretty connected person. And Grusch had a pretty interesting exchange with her about the IRADs funding some of these programs. And I think that's an angle, right? This illegal usage of funds that, him coming forward and saying that is going to win over more people. Like the Schumer amendment came after Grusch came out, right? And I like to think...
Didn't he help write it?
I would think Nell and...
Hold on, wait. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I understand where you're going, but I just want to just kind of say one thing. These people have never passed a congressional audit, ever. So if you think going after them the money way is going to affect anything, I just think there's zero evidence of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't have to pass an audit, if you can squirrel away billions and trillions of dollars, going after the money, again, it's like they want to drag you into this deep water. They want you to build momentum. If I'm going to try to throw you real far, I need you to have a lot of momentum so I can just take your momentum and just chuck you right down the street with it. And you see what I'm saying? Because that's they operate with impunity like that. I mean, that would be my thought. I mean, to where you go with that? I
just think the Schumer Amendment created language that would declassify rather than go after the money. Although it did do that with some of the language, I think the more important aspect was the mandatory declassification. So of the classified material that they have behind. That they would have to bring it in front of an independent review board, and if they had to keep it classified, they would have to outline a way that they would have to declassify it over the next 25 years or 50. So everything would have to come out, and anything that couldn't come out would have to have a timeline for coming out. And that's not going after the money.
Again, I just think, with all respect, I just think that's so naive to think that the government is going to, I mean, what you're asking them to do is give you the goods on themselves over, like, willingly. They're just going to come in, oh, you passed the law, now you got us, we got to turn it over. I mean, that just never works. And here's a prime example of that is take a look at the JFK documents. I mean, how many years? Everyone that was involved in that is dead. And they still won't release it. And Trump said he was going to release it, and he won't release it. I mean, it just...
Oh yeah, I'm pulling up that clip.
Expect them to turn over the evidence of their own crimes. I mean, I just don't believe that's ever going to happen. And the hope of that, I think, is how they manipulate us. You see what I'm saying?
I do, yeah.
I mean,
I'm tracking.
Like, they're not going to be like, oh, you got us. I mean, they're just not going to turn it over. I mean, they're never going to, because what's the incentive?
Yeah, they always put these things on, like, oh, it'll be released in 25 years, like when I'm dead. You know what I mean? They always stretch it out like, I don't want to be punished for this shit. So
make it illegal to keep these secrets, and you will win over a lot of people on the inside. Right now, I think there's a lot of people who want to be whistleblowers,
quote me a lot,
but who feel
this is not after January 6th.
I didn't realize it would autoplay, but I do love this clip because it's a great point we said about the JFK thing, and we've heard from people close to Trump that he has the same view on both.
So it's 2 weeks before, or a week before he's leaving office. He wanted to run past me the names of people he was going to pardon and sentences he was going to commute. He wanted my opinion on them. Some of them I knew. I said, how you doing? He said, not too well. And he went off into a tangent about what he thought happened with the election. I said, you made a promise to the public many times and to me privately that you haven't kept. What? I'll take care of it right now. I said, you promised you would release the records of the JFK assassination. He said to me, Judge, if they showed you what they showed me, you wouldn't have released it either. And I said, who's they and what did they show you? And then he said, Judge, someday when we're on the phone, and then he raised his voice, and there aren't 15 people listening to the phone call, back to a normal voice, I'll tell you.
Oh my God.
I mean, this makes it sound even worse. Who are they? Probably somebody in the intelligence community. What did they show him? JFK's brains blown out?
Did you hear Trump's take on the JFK assassination, why he didn't release the files?
Yeah, I know what Trump's take is.
He said that if you knew what I know, you wouldn't tell people either, which is crazy.
Well,
What
and
does that mean?
that's his position on the UAP thing as well.
Yeah,
actually. And that's
boom.
Damn.
Government, the trust in the government. This has nothing to do with letting people know about, the ontological shock of aliens is zero, in my opinion. I mean, I'm a Christian theist. I believe Jesus Christ came to this earth, died, was resurrected, and was raised again. Okay, so aliens don't scare me in one bit. I mean, I believe literally a man died and came back to life. Okay, so aliens, the ontological shock of that is I'm going to Starbucks afterwards. You know what I mean? But the ontological shock of finding out that the government for probably 50, 60 years has been squirreling away trillions of dollars, committing all kinds of atrocities that are way beyond what anyone's expectations are. That's a destabilizing thing to the government. That's when people stop paying taxes. That's when people start hoarding food and guns and stuff. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I agree. There's like multiple disclosures in this thing, right? It's the disclosure of non-human intelligence is its own thing. And then the disclosure of the lengths to which they went to like manipulate and psyop people and kill people. That's its whole separate disclosure.
The park rangers. They enlisted the park rangers to lie to people in parks. I'm telling you.
Well, what do you think the national park system was made up in the first place? Like, let's section off a lot of these areas that have high deposits of like granite. It's Roosevelt did it. Yeah, Teddy Roosevelt did it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you just basically, if they come out, the ontological shock of the hiding of this would so destabilize financial markets. I mean, I can tell you, I mean, like, just all this kind of stuff that
The financial markets are fixed anyways, so screw them.
That's actually starting to come out real quick. Real quick, we got a super chat. And I think
Nowadays I'm all about the fatty. You better get some. Too busy hating, ain't getting none. Me, I'm all about the fatty. Ain't getting none. Me, I'm all about the fatty. Yeah, they ain't ready for.
why isn't anyone forcing Congress to answer if David briefed any of them in a skiff? If not, then they aren't trying to find out the truth. Interesting question.
I think some are, but there is like they all have so much stuff on their plate, right? I mean, I think we could all agree Burchett and Luna at least are still out here kicking. I would like more from like Gillibrand and whatnot, but is there anything else from the first hearing that stuck out to you guys? And I can maybe pull up a clip of that he said that y'all remember.
Hold on, real quick. I wanted to say shout out to is it Rybeaner 123? Thank you for the super chat.
Hell yeah.
That's a good question too. We'd like to get the answers to that ourselves. Now, I think from the first thing, there's the non-human biologics, there's the deadly thing. Some of the more shocking aspects of it, I think, are still probably in the mix waiting to be played. But yeah, nothing else stands out to me. I honestly can't believe that we didn't notice the arrow thing until now.
Yeah,
the funding mechanism discussion, too, what I was talking about.
Yeah,
how he was talking about how they're using, legit earmarked money to do things that they shouldn't be doing. Not that that's a surprise.
Did he say that in Congress?
Who, Grusch?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he said that to AOC when he was talking to them.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I don't see again, I don't think that this is being funded by legit earmarked money. That's way too simple. Nothing black budget in government comes under an earmark. I mean, it's just, it doesn't need to. There's too many different ways that they can divert funds that are not specifically earmarked and are going to be tracked. There's so many fungible things in the government where you could just, I think really, honestly, that's what's going to come out. They're going to come out is this has been a giant casino skimming scheme. You know what I mean? The casinos out in Vegas used to skim off of all the money that would come in, and I think this has gone on for so long and kind of the roots of it have spread out so much that they're going to see that the skim has gone systemic. And I mean, that again, that becomes culturally destabilizing. The idea of that we have, anti-gravitics or, things like that, I think that shock would get over real quick, but the shock of I've been paying taxes and, the government has been massively lying on all kinds of terrible ways. That just affects broadly the population, I think, in a way that,
well, that's the shock. That's the shock, right? The shock, like you said, it's not that these aliens might be floating around interested in us or that they're, whatever they are, interdimensional, whatever. It's like, hey, listen, this whole system's a lie. And now we have to figure out what to do about it. Like this whole thing, like, that's I think that's one of the best parts about the UFO community is that it's kind of primed to understand this, right? It's built around the government lying. And for that reason, like we're like one of the sharpest, with some stuff, it's like one of the sharpest groups out there about how fast they want to try to get over on us. But real quick, here's that clip Red pulled up. AOC and David Grusch.
Y'all remember that headgear too that we see up there on the left at the hearing?
Yes.
I forgot about that too. That was a statement for sure.
For the record, if you were me, where would you look? Titles, programs, departments, regions. If you could just name anything.
Lucky Martin.
And I put that as an open question to the three of you.
I'd be happy to give you that in a closed environment. I can tell you specifically.
Thank you. Commander Fravor?
And I would say, and I've told people that you have to know where to look. They're not going to divulge it to you because of the classification levels. But if you know where to look and who to talk to, which is exactly what Mr. Grusch can point you, then you have them.
Okay. Mr. Graves?
I was an operator, so I was depending on folks like Mr. Grusch to do that homework.
Okay. Thank you very much. I yield back to the chair.
Defer to Grusch, yo.
For the record, if you were...
But pretty wild too, like, I mean, love, hate AOC. She is a national figure, right? And to have her talking about this shit in a congressional hearing is pretty sick.
Let this play one more time, and I want you to watch Corbell shaking his head yes. Like, not the early part.
Gymnastics, mom?
Yes. Well, yeah, I think so.
For the record, if you were me, where would you look? Titles, programs, departments, regions, if you could just name anything. And I put that as an open question to the three of you.
I'd be happy to give you that in a closed environment. I can tell you specifically.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Commander Fravor?
He knows.
And I would say, and I've
Just
told
shaking
people
his head
you
yes,
have to
dude.
know where to look. They're not going to divulge it to you because of the classification levels. But if you know where to look and who to talk to, which is exactly what Mr. Grusch can point you, then you have them.
Okay.
That was a little sweet little bro moment.
I was an operator, so I was depending on folks like Mr. Grusch to do that homework.
Okay. Thank you very much. I yield
See
back to the
Corbell or Nap
yeah.
out on that one.
Yes. They are stage moms for real. They're back there. Well, guys, this has been an awesome show. It's like, Grusch has a lot to show. I think he's got a lot more to reveal, and I think, hopefully this last year is just him priming us for that information. I don't know if we've seen a bigger splash so far than what he first came out with this congressional hearing. All those statements now, we're all kind of still sifting through them, finding truth in them, and they're all their own little breadcrumbs. You know what I mean? Eric, this has been an awesome conversation, dude.
Yeah, man. Good to chat with you guys.
Yeah, thanks for popping in, man. Like, great to meet you. Finally, look forward to seeing you down there in the chat. Call in anytime. We like doing these call-in shows. Chat, if you guys like it too, let us know. We'll pop it open like that because, you know what I mean? We got media on media on media, but this is Grusch's like week, I think, right? So I'm glad we got to go over this today. And thank you, Mike, for popping in, bro. Like, always good.
Everyone go follow UFO Lake Group. And yeah, here's a little video of what I imagine was going on like with Grusch and Corbell at the hearing. Yeah, Eric, awesome dude. Awesome meeting you. Thanks for hopping in. That was very cool.
Yeah, good stuff. I really appreciate all you guys do, man. You guys put it out there, putting in the work, man. So good on you.
We love it. And thank you, man. Thanks for the support. Go follow UFO Lake Group, UAP Mike. Eric, are you on Twitter, man?
I'm on there, but I stay off of Twitter a lot, man.
Good idea. Smart. Good idea. I'm not going to convince you to do anything else.
I don't deal with all that negativity, man. Really, it's just not for me.
It's getting crazy, but it's also, it ebbs and flows. Right now, I think there's some really great people out there. But yeah, we'll see you around, Eric. Call in anytime.
Catch you up, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the show. Guys. This is Skyfire News. We'll catch you guys over in the Twitter Spaces. And I love that we're going out on this gymnastics mom situation. Guys, until next time, chat, do you guys have any requests for music? Because we can get that party going. We certainly can. For now, we're going to play you out with the little ballad of Elizondo. Let's go.
For the money, it's about to go fast. Got a plane ticket and you know it's first class. I heard someone talking that shit and I have to regulate. I need y'all dumb and easy to manipulate. When it comes to ufology, you know I caught the schism. Attack a housewife and then on to the next victim. I know you might be shocked, but that's just the way I am. Started so many UAP companies, I forget where you lay. I need y'all dumb and easy to manipulate. When it comes to ufology, you know I cause a schism. Attack a housewife and then up to the next victim. I know you might be shocked, but that's just the way I am. Started so many UAP companies, I forgot which one's a scam, but scam. Doesn't matter though, cause I'm having all the fun with my white bread homies at the UAP Disclose UFOs. We out, y'all. These people ain't gon' psyop themselves. We out, y'all. These people ain't gon' psyop themselves. Chopping down trees in an Arizona forest, cutting off the sleeves of my work shirt. It was too hot to breathe and I wasn't going for it. We hit the road looking for a cheap skirt. And on that road we saw a light coming up the mountain. I got out the truck without a fight. The other guys kept shouting, Travis, don't go to that flying saucer floating there. Travis, you fucking idiot, are you blind, do you care? If there's a spaceship right above us and you don't seem to question. Then they took Travis walking into another dimension. Travis, where'd you go? We wanna know because the whole town thinks we killed you, but we didn't kill you.
I told him off what you told me. This next time you might remember Richard Doty.
Bitch, I gotta go. I'll pin it where your mama at. Papa soda. It don't matter where the drama at. Bitch, you gotta fall out the state. What is with that? What you know about Tractor Lords on 6th and Clay Trapping? I got a 40 cal aimed at a tall white dame I met at a party out in Compton. And I'm high, super fucking high. Now it's bopped and we mobbed and Goo Gardena in a UFO and it's autopilot and I can't see the road. And that's a feature. I'm getting dome in a UFO built by Nazi witches from a time portal set up by Egyptian mystics in a Cold War time walk through different dimensions. It's a fucked up system of egos and bitches. Anyways, I'm getting domed up by white girl on white girl. Space wanna firearms on coke. I told the